And here we are once again. Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be our weekly review for the penultimate episode of WandaVision. Of course, this is episode 8, previously on. There's a lot to talk about in this episode. We are done with the sitcom formula, and now we're really starting to get an idea of what actually happened and really just unpacking everything. And obviously, there's a lot here to discuss. But before we do get into it, I am going to introduce my co-host here. First of all, he's with me every single week, and he's here once again. Here he is, Film599.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's your boy, it's your man, it's the one that you're always seeing on these things. And Kevin has a stranglehold on me to do all these things. So,
Indeed.
Thank you, as usual, for having me on, and I'm very excited to talk about this episode.
All right, and with me here once again, he was being very annoying, but he did grab headphones, and I'm glad because he has this massively distracting echo, and I'm glad that it's not here anymore. But here he is, Auburn Wanderer.
What's up?
Hi.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Cut off.
Can't hear you.
Wow.
Oh, great. All right.
So I guess. All right. Calm down.
Thank you for having me on again, Kevin. I'm really glad to be here with you on the Film Panel 0599. And we're gonna talk about what.
And we're done with that.
Okay.
Anyway, we're just gonna get right into it. So obviously this episode I think was very much anticipated. We knew pretty much at the end of last week's episode that we were done with the sitcom formula. They brought up how the frequencies were gone and things like that. So we had a feeling that things were going to be different this week, and they very much were. Now, I'll give my thoughts in a little bit, but I want to hear more of, both of you. So I'll start with Film Fan. What did you think of this episode?
I really liked it a lot. It was a very good episode, in my opinion. I liked seeing, I kind of like seeing how, we got more of Wanda's childhood backstory and stuff like that. I like seeing that. I like seeing all these things kind of culminate together, and I thought it was really good. I really liked it a lot, honestly. It was a very good episode. It was really a good way for the penultimate episode and to lead into what we are supposing is going to be a pretty big finale for this series. So overall I really liked it a lot. It was a very good episode, in my opinion.
All right, Kaden. Yes.
So sorry, I was looking at my Secret of the Ooze vinyl, and it's looking real sexy, let me tell you. Now listen, now to WandaVision. I thought this was a very... I'm going to tell you! Okay. So, I thought this episode... I will if you shut the fuck up. Now, listen. I thought this episode was very, very good. I know. Finally. I like another episode. Let's go. Even though I've liked almost all the episodes. But listen. I thought this one was very, very good. By far... the most engaging episode so far, I'll say. Mostly because of how emotional it was. This is some of Elizabeth Olsen's best work ever in the MCU, definitely. Very much up there. I'd still say Infinity War is my favorite work from her as Wanda, but this is really up there. And just, man, Agatha is a really, really cool villainous presence, at the same time, and just it was just very interesting. But let's wait. Let's hold back before we get really, deep into it.
Yeah, so I'll give my thoughts right now. This episode for me was pretty much everything I could have wanted. For me, I think this was easily the strongest episode so far. It was an incredibly emotional journey, but it's also the kind of episode that I really eat up. It was much more of a character-centric type episode. That's really what this episode was. It was much more focused on the character of Wanda, giving us that backstory that I feel like we've needed for a while now, and answering some questions that, I think we all were very much clamoring the answers for. So I was very happy to see the way this episode played out. And, I know a lot of people are saying, oh, this episode was too slow for them. But for me, I really liked the way they slowed things down here. And I think we got what is easily, I think, the most effective episode so far, especially in terms of emotion. But we're just going to dive into right now. So the first thing I really do want to talk about is what this episode is really about. So the majority of this episode, it picks up from the reveal of last week, where we now know that Agnes was Agatha. And it turns out that this entire time, the reason that she's been doing what she's doing is because she's been observing Wanda, and she's been pretending in that way. And she's been waiting for that moment to just kind of unleash and showcase who she really is, and she just couldn't really do it anymore. And so what she decides to do is, now that she knows, who Wanda is, she knows she has this magic, she wants to know how she really got this, how she really discovered all this. And I feel like this is something that we've been hinting at for a while, that she very much is trying to get her to unleash her darkest side. And I think we definitely do see that this week, because she makes Wanda dive into some pretty painful stuff. I mean, right off the bat here with the first flashback that we get, which I thought was so well presented, in terms of the doors and things like that. What do you guys think of the structure of this episode? Because I thought it was very unique the way they ended up doing it.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, I liked it a lot too. I liked how it kind of went from each, different, I guess each different version and each different, time frame and stuff like that. I liked it. It was a nice thing. I thought they handled it very well. I liked it a lot. It was very cool. Like, because I kind of knew whenever the doors would show up, I knew kind of which time period we were going to go in. Yeah. I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, no, I thought it was really, really interesting. It kind of pulls in that, like the kind of like idea of like, like with trauma, how like you close the doors on things and like have to re-enter, and I thought it was just really well done, and all the stuff they went into and the stuff they showed was obviously very interesting. And I'm happy that, because, I know Kevin said before this is probably going to be like some like flashback episode, but the way it was done was, really, really neat,
Yeah, I really liked the way they end up doing it. And especially, I mean, we go all the way back to Wanda's childhood. We see her with her parents. They're, I think, trying to, become more in touch with their American selves. They're saying we got to speak in English and things like that. And we realized something that I think a lot of people have been having the answers to is, have been wanting the answer to is, why sitcoms? Why is this entire thing been sitcoms? And it turns out this is something that she used to do with her parents. Her parents, her Pietro and her parents would sit down and they would watch, like the Dick Van Dyke Show. They would watch Malcolm in the Middle. They would watch the Brady Bunch. These are shows that she often viewed as a way to calm herself, as a way to be in peace with herself. And I think something that also is very important here is the episode that she picks out of Dick Van Dyke. It's a nightmare scenario, but she talks about how it's all done after 30 minutes. And her father has this something along the lines of like, oh, it's just shenanigans, but it's like fun. And in the end, nothing bad actually happens. And I think we're now seeing why she decided to choose sitcoms. And I mean, I knew we were going to eventually get this reveal, but I thought this was a really profound reason. And I really liked that a lot. I love the way that they ended up revealing it. It wasn't done in a heavy-handed manner, and it really made sense for her character. And throughout the rest of the episode, we see her in these flashbacks whenever she's down, whenever she's, in a state of depression, she just goes back to the sitcoms because that gives her a sense of happiness. It's sort of like a coping mechanism for her. And I know we've hinted at this before, but what you guys think of this reveal? Because I really enjoyed what they end up doing there a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was really great. Honestly, I thought the way, like you said, I liked seeing that. I like, because you did say, we were going to get kind of this review of why the sitcoms and all that. And it's really great, honestly. Like, I really enjoyed that a lot because we see that sitcoms have always been kind of somewhat of a, actually really an escapism for Wanda, and we see that and throughout all of the flashbacks, and I thought it was really great. I thought the way that it was handled was really interesting. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, because honestly, like, I thought this whole time, like, the sitcom thing was kind of just like a neat little, like, kind of thing, how they're, like, exploring all this trauma and stuff that she's going through. But, like, clearly, it was, deeper than that. I think it's really, really interesting, basically we'll say, oh, it's too on the nose, but I mean, like, honestly, like, they needed to have some sort of meaning when you kind of think about it. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's like a neat, way of doing it, and the way that they do it and incorporate it. For me, especially in my opinion, I think how they use the sitcom, the show, like, the emotional response to it is most interesting with that scene with Vision and that flashback. Yeah. But, the stuff with her parents, Pedro, it's very, it's really sad. So
yeah, it's really sad what ends up going down there. And we find out actually through this whole thing that though their house was blown up, the bomb itself actually never went off. So that ticking sound that we heard in the first episode, I knew it had something to do with a bomb, and it very much did, but the bomb was defective, we find out. It actually didn't go off, and her parents died in a different way because they were trapped for like 2 days, and it makes it all the more devastating that we find this out. And I thought that was a really interesting reveal overall. But getting into the scene that you were alluding to, Kate, and I'll just get into the vision of it all. I mean, I think that's definitely the scene that everyone's really been talking about, and rightfully so.
I think it's the best scene of the whole show so far.
I agree 100%.
It's one of the best scenes in the entire MCU. Like I don't know why people are making fun of it, but that line,
oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
That line where he says, like, what is grief if not love persevering, is one of the best lines in the MCU, like, easily.
Oh yeah.
Like, it might even be the best line because of how good of a quote that is,
Yeah. And it sums up a lot of the stories that these characters have gone through. There's a lot of grief and trauma that many of the MCU characters have gone through, and you can really apply that to a lot of people. But it really does show the connection that Wanda and Vision really did have, and how he really was the one link she had to go to for her emotional trauma. This was her way. He was the person that was there to help her through it. And that's why the connection they had was so real. And I think we really were reminded that in this scene.
100%.
Yeah, I really love this scene a lot. It was the first thing I mentioned to Kaden after we watched the episode. I was like, that scene was really fucking great. Like, it was just like, it was so emotional, and just the way, it shows the bond that these two had with each other. Because it was just so great. I felt so many emotions while watching it. For me, it's easily the best scene of the whole show. Honestly, I really just felt like, honestly, I can't even lie. I thought I was gonna shed a tear during it, because it was just really that emotional for me.
Yep.
Yeah, it really does remind us just how well these two work together, like that chemistry that they really did have, and how well they've done such a good job, I think, of really showing that connection between these two, and really how Vision was the only person who helped Wanda through this really traumatic situation. And I thought they did a really great job with that here overall. And the other big thing we didn't talk about is, before that, we do get a scene of Wanda when she was being tested by Hydra. And we find out one of the ways she got these crazy powers is she actually came in contact with the Mind Stone. She ended up touching it. The Mind Stone fused through her. So it's almost like a part of Vision is always with her. And that's how she was able to do what she eventually ended up doing. And I really enjoyed this reveal a lot. I thought it was really great the way they handled it. And if you look carefully, you see when she actually looks at the Mind Stone, you see the actual Scarlet Witch costume, which I thought was really cool as well. But what were you going to say, Kaden?
Well, it's not just that, but it's also like if she like got the powers from that, and obviously that's the stone that Vision had when she does the whole
Yeah.
I can't feel you anymore. It's like a direct reference to that, but it's also so brilliant because it's like it's also just like an emotional line, obviously. So it's like it's really really good writing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really well done the way they end up doing that for sure. Again, showing that, in a literal sense, like she's always tethered to Vision in that way. It's like they were always meant to be in that way. And I thought they just did a really great job with that scene there. It was definitely, again, a really, really well done reveal. I feel like every scene in the episode in terms of the reveals, it felt so well planned in that way. I know a fear that a lot of people had is that they were going to quickly explain everything, but they really did take their time in this episode to go through these very different periods in Wanda's life, but all of them being very significant, all of them having a specific impact on her, showing how she eventually made the decision that she did and why, things turned out the way they did and how everything kind of felt like a piece of the puzzle. It all just kind of fit perfectly. And those are the kind of reveals that I really love. And I thought they did a great job with that here overall. But of course, we then get to the big reveal, which is, after the scene with Wanda and Vision where he's comforting her and we have that great line, as we talked about, with love persevering. We then see what ended up happening after Vision ended up, after Vision was dead and Wanda came back from the blip and whatnot, she is going into the facility, obviously, and things are different, though, from what we've heard, because, if you remember, the details that Hayward said is that Wanda was very vengeful, she was very frantic, she was angry, and she was at first, but the one thing that she doesn't do is, even though they are very clearly testing on Vision's body and treating him as if he's a weapon rather than a person, she doesn't steal the body. And I thought this was a really interesting reveal overall, and it shows that the show has done a really good job of it's done a really great job of misleading us in that way. It really is bringing Hayward into full villain territory. And I know we haven't been the biggest fan of Hayward. And okay, you especially have not been the biggest fan of Hayward.
I think that's putting it a bit lightly. I think he's a garbage villain.
Yeah, he definitely is not the greatest, but I definitely really did enjoy the reveal. I like that Wanda didn't end up stealing his body. And what we get instead, for me, is the moment of the episode that almost broke me. She goes to Westview. We get to see what the actual Westview was like. We see a lot of the characters that we've been seeing. We see Norm and his family. We see Debra Jo Rupp's character and how she's just kind of sitting like at this, she's just kind of sitting on like this patio or whatever. We see the real Herb. And I thought this was really good because these are characters we've seen, but we've never actually seen who they actually are. And I like these little brief glimpses of them. And eventually we realize why she chose Westview. And the reason she chose Westview is because Vision was building a house for them there. This was a house that they were going to live in together, but he was never able to finish it before he died. And the moment where you see the map and it says like, this is our home, love Vision or whatever. And then she just finally breaks. That for me was the moment of the episode and really is, I think, Elizabeth Olsen's best moments, maybe in the entire MCU. Everything about this moment, it felt so earned. You understood all of the pent up, not just anger, but the misery that's really inside of her and her just finally releasing it. It just felt like such an amazing moment. And everything about it, I thought was just so well done. And for me was the big moment of the episode. But what did you guys think of this whole reveal overall?
I thought it was really great. Just seeing, when she's pulling into Westview and, we see that, that note and that map, and it's so emotional, and just seeing her let out all of this, like you said, anger, misery, just laying it out like a tidal wave, and just, then she creates this whole sitcom universe. Like it was really great. I really loved it a lot. It was a really, really fantastic sequence. It was definitely one of my favorite moments of the episode. It was really fantastic in my opinion. I thought it was really well done.
You know, I thought it was fantastic. Just like that, like pain, and just like that sorrow that got conveyed, and it's like, and then it just kind of just become kind of like more peaceful, when she kind of like creates like like the house and instead of everything that kind of like whole world herself. It's like it's very sad, and the way it was executed was really, really well done in my opinion. Yeah.
Right. And it makes and it also makes sense now why she always wanted them to just sit on the couch. And he was like, should we stay in tonight? Because that is her happy place. That's when she finally feels at ease, because she has those memories of going all the way back to just watching sitcoms with her family. This brings her immense joy. And that's why she always wanted to do that. It wasn't just because she didn't want Vision to know. It's because this is her way of coping with it. Whenever something traumatic happens, this is what she likes to go back to. And it just made it that much more profound in that way. And everything about that moment was so well done when when we see her transformation into the 50s and, he's greeting her for the first time. Oh, just such an amazing moment overall. And I loved everything about it. It felt so rewarding in that way. And I thought they did a really good job with that. And those are all of the Wanda flashbacks we get in this episode. Like I said, I think every single one of them was so well done. And they did a really great job of diving deep into this character and adding layers to her that, we now see Wanda as a fully fledged character. We already did, but after this episode especially, like she now has a full completed arc where she's been and now why she's done what she's done. And it's doing a really great job of setting up the next phase of her life, basically, which of course we'll get into at the end of this episode. But before we do, the only other things we really talk about is the way this episode started off, which I was not expecting. We actually get a bit of an origin story for Agatha herself, where we go all the way back to basically the Salem witch trials, where, her mother is there. Clearly, she doesn't want her to use this magic on her own. She wants to literally suck the life out of her and drain the magic from her, but it doesn't work out. It ends up where Agatha ends up killing basically everyone. And what did you guys think of this opening scene with Agatha?
I'll let Caden go first.
Well, I mean, Massachusetts baby won.
Yeah. I knew.
That was cool.
Yeah, the land of the witches. But number two, I like how it took place in Salem, just because it's very on the nose, because the creepy kind of atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah.
But the whole scene's interesting, because we don't really know too much about Agatha, herself, really. And so to show that, back and how, she's basically this witch, and, how, basically she got, the powers that she has, and how, I think she said, she can't control them, and she's not trying to be, a bad, a bad guy.
Yeah, she wanted to be good.
Yeah, she wanted to be, but, the power, was, too bad and too much. And, it's interesting because I feel like that's the same thing that's happening with Wanda throughout this whole show.
That's what I was gonna say. It's a direct parallel, I think. Yeah,
so it's kind of it's kind of because in the comics, Wanda has a storyline where she goes comes a villain, quote unquote, but it's 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 interesting, especially because in the next up, the finale, not to jump too ahead, but if we're gonna have the whole Scarlet Witch look maybe happen, we're gonna have White Vision, which I didn't even know that was a thing in the comics, honestly.
I didn't either.
So it's all. I feel like it's a really interesting contrast, and it sets up even more interesting stuff of how it's gonna conclude. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, same. I very much agree. It was a really good sequence. I do like the parallels with her and Wanda. I think it's really great, honestly, because the similar thing is happening to her. She wants to be good, but she's heading into a villainous direction. I thought it was really well handled too. It was a really good sequence as well, and it gave us some really interesting information about this character that we didn't know beforehand. So I thought it was really good.
I feel like it also really showcased just how good Kathryn Hahn really is in this role. I mean, you watch that first scene and, she's so scared. She really she wants to be good. She doesn't know, what's really happening. And she doesn't know how to control this magic, but she generally wants to be good. And then you go to her now and, she's this very spiteful, very sarcastic type villain, and it really does work. And then you get to the end of the episode and she just goes full-fledged evil. And it really just shows how good she is at portraying this character. I mean, Agatha at this point is such a multi-layered and multifaceted character. And I feel like Hahn has just done such a great job at showcasing that. You can really, I've seen a lot of people say this, but this is going to be one of those shows where we're going to go back to scenes of Agatha and we're going to see her completely different now. And I think Hahn's performance is a big reason for that for sure. I don't feel like we talked enough about just how good Kathryn Hahn really is in this role, but she really is showcasing that here for sure.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. She's really great in this.
Yeah.
I've been enjoying her throughout the entirety of this show, and she's just so layered, layered and stuff like that. I think she does a really great job in the show, and I've been very much enjoying her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think.
I think that she's fantastic. She's kind of had that quirky, sort of mysterious energy, and now she's kind of bringing that, sort of pushiness that the villain needs to have and stuff, and still having that aesthetic and stuff. It's really, really good.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing with her at this point is that we still don't really know what her whole actual objective is. The way this episode ends when she has basically subdued Tommy and Billy, and, she's doing it as a way to lure Wanda to them, and she tells her that she's the Scarlet Witch. What do you guys think her overall, end game is here? What do you think her actual plan is, moving forward?
I'll let Kaden go first.
That's sorry, what was that?
What do you think, her whole, big plan is, overall?
I think she just wants as much power and as much... I think that's really it, honestly. I think she just wants as much power as possible. I mean, I think that's honestly it. I mean, maybe we'll find out more in the finale, but I think that's honestly it. And, she hasn't really encountered someone as powerful as Wanda before, so...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's that's why I think it's the thing too, is that she sees how powerful Wanda is. She sees how powerful she really is. So maybe she wants that power. Maybe she wants to have as much power as she has. You know, and I think that's really where it's going. Maybe there is more to it, but I think that's the main goal for her in this.
So my thing is, I think it is that, but I also think her whole mission is to, and I've always seen it as this, I've always seen it as she wants to turn Wanda towards darkness. She really wants to unleash the most emotional, demons out of her and really just get her to release her inner anger. And that's why she's doing all of the things that she's doing, because people have brought this up. If her entire thing was just observing Wanda, why was she fucking around with the magic and with the magic show in episode 2? Why did she kill the dog? Why did she do all of these things? There definitely is, I think, more to it that we're going to find out in the finale for sure. And I'm excited to see how that turns out. But of course, the other big reveal that we get is in the mid-credit scene, which I think this time we can say they did not take the mid-credit scene for granted. We get a pretty big reveal here. For sure, where we realize what Hayward has actually been working on, because he keeps saying things, every episode. It's we launched today, we have some big plan, we didn't know what it was about. We see this tank, and out of it is Vision, but not the Vision that we know him as. And as Kaden alluded to, yes, we do get this character known as the White Vision. And I'm with you too. I didn't know this character was a thing. I didn't know this character existed, but apparently he does. And whatever he is, he's definitely not on the right side of things. And I don't know what they're going to do with that, but it was a pretty great reveal for sure. What did you guys think of this mid-credit scene?
I thought it was really good. As with the two of you, actually, I did not know this was a thing in the comics either.
I thought it looked like the Silver Surfer. I was like, that's not the Silver
I was
Surfer.
like, oh, it's Vision. I think this Vision. Now, like I said, I don't know much about it with like comic books and stuff like that. But what I'm getting at here is he's going to be more like a machine, more like in a Terminator.
His mind is in the other Vision.
Yeah, like more like a Terminator-esque like machine. In this finale, and I'm very curious to see how that's going to go down, because I know it's not going to go down very prettily, and I'm very interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the way you want to do a fucking mid-credit scene, let me tell you. Very, very cool setup. I am very interested in seeing how exactly this goes down, because I think, if I'm guessing right, I think they're gonna exit the hex. And
I think so.
100% there's gonna be a confrontation between Wanda and whatever this white Vision is. So it's gonna be very, very interesting to see what happens. I'm very excited. I honestly I'm one of those people. I've never followed the comics. I got into this, like I said, like years ago when this whole thing launched, and so I don't really know much about it in terms of comic stuff. But like, this is an interesting idea for Vision. So.
Yeah, we've never really explored this type of Vision before. And I think the whole thing is like, it's pretty clear this Vision is not going to have, the heart that the Vision of the Hex does. Because Wanda has that, the Vision in the Hex has the heart. This Vision is just what they wanted him to be, basically, which is just a weapon, a sentient being that is made for destroying others and destroying other things. And I think that's exactly what we're getting at. But what an amazing way to end this episode. Great way to set up for the finale for sure. And again, definitely we're moving in a really, really intense direction. But before we get into everything else, I do want to talk about some other things. The directing for this episode, as always, I always talk about how great Matt Shakman does with directing this whole show, but particularly this episode. What I think is really challenging about this episode is that you're finally pulling back the curtain, basically. You're finally showcasing everything that's been going on. And he did a really great job, I think, of taking what was at once a genre-bending show and now giving us that more emotional conflict and really bringing that to the forefront in an amazing way. And I think he just did such a great job directing this episode. Everything, to me at least, felt so earned. Everything felt like, this is really what we've been leading up to. And I was very impressed by his directing here. Again, I know we rave about it every single week, but it has to be said just how good he's done with directing this whole show.
Yeah, it's really good, and it's especially good in this episode too. I once again thought he did a real solid job directing this as we've come to as we've come to as a running joke here. Kevin never turns off his things. Anywho, but no, I thought his directing was really good with this episode, as usual with these episodes. So yeah, he did another really solid job.
Wait, what?
The directing.
The directing.
It was great.
Yeah, directing was definitely really great for sure. We already talked about how good the writing was in this episode. But again, I mean, an episode like this, you really just want everything to connect in a way that feels seamless, in a way that feels like this is what they've been setting up all along. And they absolutely did that here. The writing here, I think, was top tier. Again, we talked about how great those, for me, the two best moments of the episode were the Wanda and Vision conversation, the reveal of the sitcoms itself, why she loves it, why she chose the sitcoms, and of course, how she ended up doing everything. And those three things, again, they all felt so well earned. And then again, the direct parallel with Agnes, how Agnes is someone that wanted to be good, but ended up going towards darkness. And Wanda's in a very similar position where she wants to be good, but she has this magic that she can't really control. We're now realizing it's chaos magic, and she's being dubbed as the Scarlet Witch. It's really well written in that way. And I really did feel that throughout this entire episode. Just excellent writing overall, and cinematography here as well. I mean, the big thing about this episode is that, now I think that the cinematography in this episode was amazing. The opening sequence, especially, I mean, the effects effects were so good there, especially when they were draining the life from her. I thought they did such a great job with the cinematography here, going across the different periods of Wanda's life. It all felt a lot darker purposefully, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And again, in an episode where we don't have the eras anymore, they're still doing a lot in terms of the effects here, and you really do get to see that in this episode.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, like the writing is still really fantastic. I think it's really great in this episode. Cinematography wise and visual effects wise too, it's also really good. So I pretty much agree.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the only other thing I think to really talk about is, of course, this was the longest episode so far, and it definitely needed to be. I'm glad that the episode was at least 39 minutes without the credits, because we do have that mid-credit scene, so that counts as 39 minutes. So it's closer to what we want, and I'm glad that we did get a sufficient amount of time to dive into everything. And for me, I thought this episode was very well paced, for sure. I liked that we actually did slow things down, and we got a chance to see, what's really been going on, what Wanda's been through all of her life. Her life really has been such a big tragedy in that way, a constant tragedy. I mean, very, very little has happened to Wanda that has actually been good. And you can understand why she wanted to create this false reality where everything was just situational, or say shenanigans, where things are solved very quickly. That's never happened for Wanda. There's never been that easy solution. And I think we really did get to see that in this episode. And I thought that it was very well paced in that way.
Yeah, I agree. This was a very well-paced episode, honestly. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought they used the pacing really well here, the pacing has been a problem for me for quite a few of these episodes, but I do think the pacing used here was really good. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very nicely paced.
Yeah, I know that's been an issue for you, especially, Caden. So, like, what the pacing of this episode you thought was pretty good, right?
Well, I mean, the pacing, it's more. Oh my god,
Kevin, turn off your shit.
I can. I went on. I went offline and it didn't like.
Oh god, bitch! Just put on fucking do not disturb.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you fucking anyway. So, God, I'm gonna fucking burst my energy on Kevin on air, but listen. Listen.
Oh, you're gonna go like full Wanda releasing energy?
Wait, hang on. Wait, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. My headphones went off for a second. I wish it was longer. Like every episode should have been, but I mean, I'm hearing finale is like 50, so like I guess like 43,
yeah, it's confirmed at 50. Mm-hmm.
It's like 43, I guess, without credits, 42, so yeah. I mean, hopefully,
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I guess final thoughts on this episode overall. For me, this, like I said, I think was definitely the most satisfying episode so far in terms of everything we did get. I think definitely they did such a great job with giving us that necessary backstory to Wanda that we've been wanting for a while, and really getting us to understand more of what her character has gone through, the trauma that she really has been going through her entire life. It's all really well done here. All the moments felt very well earned. And just in general, it's that satisfying start to the finale that we really are hoping for. And I hope it is leading into a very emotionally satisfying finale for sure. For me, this was easily the best episode yet. And I am going to give this episode of WandaVision, episode 8, previously on overall, in A.
Overall, I thought it was a very good episode. I really enjoyed it a lot. There's some really great emotional stuff here. I really loved Elizabeth Olsen's acting in this. This is some of her finest work yet. And overall, I really enjoyed it a lot. And I'm going to give it a B+. So whoop-de-woo.
All right, and then
you know what? I decided this past week I'm going to stop giving ratings and stuff to things I've been thinking about for a little while. So I guess this is kind of, awkward because I haven't been given ratings before. But you know what? I'm going to give this episode a very, very good. Okay, that's my rating, okay?
Wait. Hold Hold on.
Okay,
I don't have anything for
very,
that.
very good.
There. It's right there.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo! Let's go.
It's wait. I didn't do it. I should be a very, very good out of 10. That's what it should be.
You know what? It should be very, very good out of Caden or something like that. Some stupid shit. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect.
All right, yeah. So you know what? We figured it out. It was a struggle, but we did indeed figure it out. But of course, guys, that is our review for this week's episode. Now, before we do end things off, though, now it gets to the best part of the show, where we get through the outros here. So we're gonna start off with Film Fan.
Hey, yes, it's me. Once again, I'm here to get my stuff. All right, so if you can find me on my Twitter at FilmFan0599, you can find me on the TikToks at FilmFan0599. You can find me on my YouTube FilmFan0599, and as usual, you can find me on my Letterboxd WWEFan0599 because they won't let me change the username. We've been through this. You already know what it is. So yeah, you can find
just
me
like how they wouldn't give Vision a proper funeral, they won't let 99 change his username.
He's always got a fucking tie-in.
I mean, to be fair, there's many characters in the MSU haven't got a proper funeral, but I'm not going to spill that to you right now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Anyways, it's me, your boy. Yeah, so we got these links down below. Y'all could check me out there. I'm pretty sure y'all know me already because I've been on Kevin's channel for years now. Unfortunately, I have been, but it's all good. Follow me and yeehaw!
Yeehaw hours. But anyways, guys, that is our review for this week's episode of WandaVision. I can't believe this show is almost over. It really has flown by, but believe it or not, we will be at the finale next week, and very excited to see how everything does go down. Hoping that, like I said, it's that satisfying finale that we really are hoping for, and we will, because I just talked to Double Nine about this. We will be ranking every single episode, just like we did.
What about me? You didn't ask me about that. What the hell? I did not approve of this.
We will be ranking Double Nine and I at least will be ranking every single episode of the show. So of the show,
it's a cold world.
We did it for Mandalorian, so we might as well do it for this. But anyways, guys, that's it for our review of this week's episode. As always, comment down below. Let us know what you guys thought of this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Fucking Christ.